And we're live. Hello
Yay.
and welcome to a special episode of Maddie Allen Live. I'm here with Crypto 7, one of my favorite Hexicans and YouTube Richard Hart streamers, and really excited to have you on the show today, 7.
Thanks, man. And while people are wondering no shades, I thought it's always respectful to when you go on other channels, sometimes no shades. And so that's why no shades. But so that's that. But it is me. It's not AI me, it is me. Yeah, before we get going, I was wondering, I know you've been going to a lot of conferences and things, which I think it's a perfect time to be going to conferences as we start to enter banana zone. It seems very exciting. So I'd love a little bit of a summary on some of these things you've been going to, if that's okay.
Yeah, well, a long time ago, I was going to scientific conferences because I worked as a neuroscientist before I was a therapist. And so I had that background. And then when I got into crypto, I mostly only cared about Hex. We didn't have PulseChain yet. So I created the Hex conference and we did some in person stuff and then ended up doing more stuff online, as you know. But just this year, I've made it to more than just the Bitcoin conference, which I started going to about 3 or 4 years ago. So this year has been wild with conference activity. And first off, I went to Consensus in Austin, Texas, about 4 or 5 months ago. And that's a major Ethereum conference, probably the biggest one there. And so that was really exciting.
Yeah, there was a few hexagons at consensus, weren't there? I think.
Oh yeah, and as the in-person conference stuff has evolved, where there's other hexicans that are putting on meetups and doing tours around the country and stuff. My focus has been to shift more towards meeting new whales and meeting new important people outside of the Richard Hart ecosystem, to draw them in or to just connect with them so many times that they're drawn in to see what we've got going on. And that's been my focus lately at conferences, has not been only to connect with people who I've known in crypto over the years, but to meet new people as well.
Yeah, so you learnt the value of the conferences through your professional previous life, and then you just sort of naturally thought, "Oh, I'm in crypto now. I should be going to the conferences," which is, of course, exactly right. And I think that you get a good insight into how they think, don't you? Whether it's a Solana Bros or whoever, you get an insight into how they're thinking, how you can press their buttons in a good way. The things that are going to attract them. And yeah, I'm sure it's hugely valuable. I'm sure it's a lot of fun as well. Do you have fun at these events?
I have a lot of fun in this like crypto enthusiasm that I have. There are lots of ways that I have fun in life, but at a crypto event, I'm there to network with people. At this last one in Utah, I was going for 14 hours a day because I had a friend who had lined up an infinite number of like interviews and meet and greets and stuff like that. And so yeah, it like the strategy continues to evolve, and I can say there's probably people watching now that don't even own any Richard Hart cryptos, but they met me at a conference and they're checking it out.
Well, that's good, as you say, isn't it? To be getting a new audience and getting new people in and things because they have friends, and before you know it, it's that snowball effect of lots more people coming to Hex and PulseChain. Fantastic, buddy, fantastic. Yeah.
And then yeah, the one that I went to in the middle. So I did Consensus in Austin. Then a couple months later, I went to Bitcoin Nashville. They moved that one. It had been in Miami for several years, and they moved it to Nashville. Next year, the Bitcoin conference will be in Las Vegas, which will be another first for them. And then, yeah, just this most recent one was in Utah. Next month, I'm strongly considering going to DevCon 7 in Thailand because Vitalik's going to be there and a bunch of other major ETH whales. Arthur Hayes. I mean, there are some names that these are billionaires. I've in the past I've met and like had long conversations with Brock Pierce, with
Yeah, fantastic. Arthur
Bobby
Hayes,
Lee, Charlie Lee's brother.
yeah.
Bobby Lee is a billionaire. So, it only takes one billionaire to move the the price of all the stuff we like, 1,000 times more than getting a millionaire in. So.
Yes, true. It's astonishing, it's particularly with liquidity where it is at the moment with Hex and PulseChain and a lot of cryptos as well, because people are sort of waiting to see what's going to happen, and after a 7 or 8 months mid-cycle correction. But yeah, exciting. I can see that's a lot of fun. The only real exposure I've had to hexagons is when I go to the Top Cats racing events, the racetracks, which is like a
Oh
second
yeah.
home for me. And there's always a bunch of hexagons there, so I have a good chat. I've also saying that I have met other hexagons for coffee a few times and things, but mostly that's it. Mostly I haven't gone to any conferences or events for crypto at all, actually. So that's something I need to correct, I think, in 2025.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I mean, I've participated in yours, of course, online. I suppose I'm selling myself short. I have spoken at yours, and obviously got. I feel it's funny, isn't it? Because although I haven't physically met many of you guys, I feel like I have, because we talk so much and things. I mean, I think we must have streamed at least half a dozen times together, mustn't we, over the years?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you out to one of these. Yeah, because
I can see I'm gonna have to go to
they're
something at
blessed.
some point,
Yeah.
for sure, definitely. Yeah, brilliant.
And
So what's
now like it's here because I want to ask you your take on the politics game. I actually did to go VIP to Trump's last rally because of some connections I made at this most recent conference. And so like 3 days from now, I'm supposed to be in Madison Square Garden, like helping out with some stuff there.
Oh, right.
So,
Interesting.
what
Oh,
advice do you have about the election?
yes. So is there a rally that you're going to be going to then, or are you referring to the SEC court case now, or what's?
No, I have 2 reasons to be in New York coming up here. But on the 27th, there's Trump's doing his last rally.
Gosh.
And because of some guys I met at a crypto conference, they invited me to be VIP at the event.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Wow, that is it. I think it's a big deal. I think the election's a massive deal. And so I've been unapologetically talking about it on Crypto 7, because I do think it's a huge deal. I know a lot of people like the idea that whoever gets in, the market will be happy, and to a certain extent there's some truth to that. But there's a few things for me that betray that we will have a much better time of it in crypto if we get Trump rather than Harris. One of the things that has really surprised me with the Democrats, with the incumbents at the moment, is that they haven't taken their foot off the gas, attacking the crypto industry and through the SEC. And there's been Wells notices days before the election. I hadn't anticipated that. This is something I'm speaking to with a bit of background, because I was a political lobbyist in the UK for 10 years. I ended up heading up a big trade association representing industry sectors to government and media. So it's my bag, if you like, from my former life before I got into crypto. And in the UK, there's a rule that you basically are very careful with what you do in terms of expenditure and policy decisions up to 2 months before an election. So basically, there's a sort of moratorium on certain things, and that would include stuff like the SEC issuing Wells notices for sure, because there's a cost implication there because they're instructing lawyers, and there's a policy shaping implication there because whatever happens, it can become test case and things. So I was very surprised at that, and for me, that's one of the 3 ways that I can tell that we're not going to have a great time if Harris gets in. And that's the bad news, and then I'll give you the good news if you like. But that's one of the reasons. Another thing that tells me that the Democrats are going to come after crypto hard if they stay in power is the fact that Michael Saylor's suddenly coming out now and saying, listen, we don't really need to self-custody. It's okay. We can just use the banks. The banks can be the self-custody. And I think this is because he knows that the Democrats want to ban self-custody. I think that's the plan. And I think that's on the horizon. I think it's on the roadmap. And I think that's why Michael Saylor's snuggling up to the banks, the Bank of America, JP Morgan, and all the rest, and saying, look, we could just let them custody it. That's a good idea, isn't it? That suits him perfectly, and it suits the Tone Vases and the Max Kaisers probably even, but it suits them perfectly because Bitcoin and Ethereum would be okay with that, but the other cryptos would be in big trouble if you ban self-custody. Obviously, you know all about that. So for me, Michael Saylor doing that tells me that he's hedging his bets, and that he in case the Democrats get in, I think he knows that they want to ban self-custody. So that's really bad news. And then the third thing, which tells me that, you know, we need to worry about a Harris election, is that Brad Garlinghouse recently bribed the Harris team with a $12 million donation. And I suspect he really didn't want to spend $12 million on the Harris team, but he's done that as an insurance policy. And the insurance policy is, listen, go after those nasty hexagons, but leave us XRP guys and gals alone, because, you know, I gave you 12 million, remember, Kamala. That's the bad news. I think that we're in trouble. We're in trouble from the US administrators if they get in power. The good news is that, well, two things. One is that according to Polymarket, and Elon Musk has endorsed Polymarket as the most reliable source, and he knows how to build jet engines in his bedroom. So who am I to second guess him, you know? But he's saying that Polymarket's the most accurate. Polymarket today is like at about nearly 70% for Trump and 30% for Kamala. So good news there. I'm listening to people for whom this is their bread and butter, is all about who's going to win elections and things. And it's, well, a lot of it's well over my head. It's above my pay grade. It's very technical. But you listen to them for 30 minutes and then they say, so I'm very confident at this stage that Trump's going to win. And if you look on Polymarket, he's well ahead in the 6 swing states and things. So that's the good news, guys.
Yeah. Well, I think your observation is brilliant about Democrats wanting to ban self-custody. It hadn't occurred to me that, but it's so clear when you say it.
Yeah. I think that's why Michael Saylor's making the noises he is.
Yeah, because I was wondering why, and you definitely put it together there for me, and that's why I listen to your streams probably the most out of anybody in the ecosystem, and I would encourage my audience to subscribe to your channel, which is in the description below.
Cheers, bro. And likewise, I told everyone to tap the bell to catch you live and things, and you know, you're a pillar in the community, highly respected, legendary. How's your arm now after that bad car crash? Are you fully recovered now? Where are you at with your arm?
You know, this is America, so it's a whole legal thing, and I can't really talk about it. But the bottom line is that you know, I'm lucky to be alive, and you know, I count my blessings every day.
So it's like me, like I'm in pain all the time with my back after fracturing vertebrae motorcycle racing, but I wouldn't change it for the world. It was the most fun you can ever have. More fun than anything, guys. Trust me. I've tried everything. Motorcycle racing is unfortunately a lot more fun than everything else. You know, so yeah, there is a silver lining with the Harris situation. Because in my personal opinion, as I say, with a political background, I think she would be the weakest president ever in US history. I think because of that, and because she's got so many other things to attend to initially, and when I say initially, I mean in the next 12 months, like Ukraine, like the border issues, like Israel. I think it's entirely possible that she doesn't do anything with crypto, but if she goes totally and just lets the Gary Genslers and things and Elizabeth Warrens dictate the pace, then I suppose maybe that's not much of a consolation. But it's possible we'd have 12 months still to make a lot of money. But
did you see
changes at timescales? Yeah, sorry.
did you see Elizabeth Warren? She's up for re-election, and there's this crypto lawyer who's like, I didn't realize he's like from the hood. I like started listening to some of his speeches, and he's like, he's able to talk the talk and walk the walk, not only for crypto but for all the other issues people want to hear about. His name is John Deaton, and he's running to replace her in Massachusetts, and it's very close. And so we might actually get rid of the politician who said she's creating an anti-crypto army, uh, and that might send a message to the other politicians.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I did hear about that, and he's well sponsored by the crypto bros, isn't he? And that's great. So she was moaning about that, wasn't she? I did hear a bit about that. No, it would be fantastic. And like I say, I think that he'll get in. Now, this links a lot to something that'll be on everyone's mind if you've got Hex and PulseChain, which is the court case in 7 days' time. For me, I think that the court case in 7 days' time is it's very significant for Hex and PulseChain prices right now and over the next 7 days, and potentially over the next 11 days to the election. But I think the SEC stuff and the SEC court case is very significant in the very immediate term, which is the next 7 days or potentially the next 11 days, which is nothing, is it? Less than a family holiday. But if Trump gets in, I think it becomes very insignificant. I think that there's no longer a problem. So I think it's great that the Hexicans are going out there and things in their suits and things, and I think that's great. And I think it'd be a good hookup and meet up. And we were talking about the value of that at the beginning stream. But hopefully, it'll just be a nice, fun meetup. And as long as Trump gets in, I think that risk moves away, and then that allows Hex and PulseChain to really fly. Because normally in crypto, as you know very well, you get what we all call this buy the rumor, sell the news. So normally when you go towards an event, the prices go up, and then at the event, the prices go down. So I sell the news. Well, what I seem to be observing is that Hex and PulseChain are going down on the approach to the court case, which could means we get a sell the rumor, buy the news. So we get the opposite effect. I think that makes perfect sense. If not immediately, certainly by the election, because I think that the risk from the SEC is effectively gone if Trump gets in. So as I say, I think it makes a massive difference, and I'm following it very closely. And it seems to me as if the Democrats have become very desperate. She was comparing Trump to Adolf Hitler recently, which I think is very desperate. And also she was saying that if Trump gets in, that they will. No, it was Biden. Biden said a few days ago that if Trump gets in, he will sack all civil servants, which is a clever way of getting 40%. I don't know how many people work in the public sector in America, but in the UK, it's about 40%. So you're effectively frightening about 40% of the voting working age population and saying you're going to lose your job. So real scaremongering tactics. You guys call it gaslighting, I think, in the States. A real gaslighting from Biden there, and she's comparing Trump to Hitler, which is it's deplorable on any level, really. To compare, I mean, that's just so extreme and out of touch with reality, I think. So I think it's desperation. I think it's the last act. She even looked really frustrated when she was delivering that speech, and she was saying, "It's down to the American public now. It's your choice." I think they know they've lost it, and so they're having to do something very extreme. It worries me slightly that. So I'd really like you to look after Trump when you go to the rally, because it worries me slightly that he's still doing rallies, because. It's
this one's indoors.
Good.
So, and I think it's in a state that doesn't even like guns. So, yeah, I think he'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, if I see something, I'll say something, as
fantastic,
as they say. When it comes to like the buy the rumor, sell the news type stuff, the way that we the way that we can address this as a community of people who, don't want to scare anybody off is really what are all the other events that are coming up? So for everybody that's selling the news, somebody else can be buying the rumor and take it from there. And I would say the judge has what nuclear herbs would know better, but it's like about 60 days or so to tell us what the result is of the motion to dismiss the hearing that we're having in 7 days. And so wouldn't you know that the timing just lines up perfectly for the 5th annual online Hex conference, January 6th through 9th. I hope we'll know by then, but that gives us a lot of days in between, November and then the beginning of January for us to find out what's going on there. And typically everybody coming together, 100 streamers coming together for the conference usually helps get the word out, and it becomes a good pump-a-mental.
Yeah, that's really bullish. That is really serendipity. That is, isn't it? Serendipity. So presumably that's pure happy accident. There was no coordination.
We've always had it on the same days, 5 years straight.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Talking about coincidences, here's another one for people I spotted yesterday. I don't know if I'm the first person to pick this up but the US election, of course, is on the 5th. Guess what's on the 6th and the 7th? It's the next Fed meeting. Now, I know the Fed is supposed to be autonomous, etc., but it is interesting because they knew the election was on the 5th. Or it's interesting that it's almost like, well, we'll decide exactly what we're going to do depending on who gets in. But you can imagine that if Trump wins, which looks highly likely, in my opinion, based on my background. It's like then well, maybe Trump will be on to Jerome and trying to pressure him into I mean, I know they're supposed to be independent, but of course they're keeping an eye on it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they started dropping the rates just as we started to run up to the election. As a lot of smart people said was exactly what they do. So of course we've had 50 basis points already, which is 0.5%. Even if we just get 25 basis points on the 5th and the 6th, then we're up to nearly 1%, and the market's expecting 0.25. Give the market what they expect, so they'll be happy with that. But I wouldn't be surprised, particularly if Trump gets in and he gets on the phone to Jerome, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another 50 basis points. Then we've got a whole 1% down. Everyone's going to really notice that in their mortgages and their car loan repayments and things. You're going to feel a lot wealthier. You're going to want to spend more on crypto. So that's really, really good. Yeah, I mean, I do think that we could be in for an absolutely wild time in crypto if Trump gets in. And I don't like labels, but things like super cycles, I think that's entirely possible. I'm much less confident though if Harris gets in. So if you're watching from the States now, fill your car with friends and family, get down those polling booths for us. I will sponsor you. $20 for every person that gets down there. I haven't got the money that Elon Musk has got, but I do think it's a massive deal. So I don't know. I think that big investors are waiting to get this court case out of the way. As you say, nothing's actually specifically going to happen on a week today necessarily, but it's just the markets just like these events behind them, don't they? And then I think that a lot of people are also looking to see what happens in the election, and it's still a bit close to call and things. So if Trump wins, then I think that's it. The billionaires start fat fingering the buy button, the institutions, insurance companies, the pensions, the banks, will start buying loads more crypto. I mean, but they are already, we've had 9 out of 10 green days with the ETFs and things for Bitcoin. And BlackRock significantly has been buying every single day. I think there was one day they didn't buy in the last 9. And these green days are like 300 million a day on average, which is no small amount of money. Obviously, it's 0.3 of a billion. It's a lot when it comes to crypto. It's not a lot out there in the in the legacy world of finance and things and bonds and stocks, but it's a lot in our little world. It's so I think it's inevitable that Bitcoin gets past that 70K very soon, which is Plan B's prediction for this month. So I think he'll be right. He's normally right. I think we should all just copy invest Plan B until the last 2 months of the bull market, and then do the opposite of whatever Plan B says, because that's how it went last cycle. It was so accurate that everyone just went, whatever Plan B's doing, that's what I'm doing, and it worked beautifully until the end. And I think, and this is the kind of thing that Somi would pick up on, shout out to Somi, is that in the end he's got too many people following him and too many people copy trading him, and it's inevitable that if Plan B says we're going to top out at 100K as he did in 2021, it's inevitable that people will front run that, and that's what happened. But yeah, I think that he's already within $1,000 of being right, because he said 70K for this month. Of course, as everyone knows, Plan B is saying 100K for next month. And get your beers out, guys. Get your white wine out, ladies. He's saying 150K for December, which is mind-blowing if you're new to crypto, these kind of gains. And we know what that means then for the altcoins and for Hex and PulseChain. So I think we're going to be in for an amazing Q4. September was green, of course, which was nice because we don't normally get green. And then October is, we started October at 61K. I think we're currently at 67. So, it's a long time since I went to school, but 67 is a lot more than 61. So we're on for a green month currently as well in October. But I think that things really go wild next month. I think that, hang on to that nice black hat of yours, Matty, because I think that it's very cool, by the way, that, yeah.
Thanks.
That is very cool. And you definitely want to wear that at the rally, either that or a MAGA hat, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there with 5 guys that are touring the country in like a MAGA bus, and they all have like America outfits, and I'm gonna be the one in a black hat, probably with some like Apple Vision Pro goggles on to stand out.
Like that guy from Crypto Banter. I like that. Yeah, that's cool. Everyone will be like, what are you looking at? Yeah. Get everyone.
Yeah, I'm super bullish on crypto as well. Yeah, I think Ethereum is a really good play right now, and everything in the Pulse and Hex ecosystem is just, it's just chopping around, waiting to go. And as you say, the election is going to be a big part of that.
And some things are starting to go already. I noticed Solana. I actually sold quite a bit of Solana this afternoon because it's up to $175, and that's 22x or so from its low in the bear market of $8. And a lot of people are getting excited about Solana again, and I do find that interesting because having given people a 22x in this cycle already, I think a 4 or 5x is more than enough. That gives it over 100x, which is pretty damn good for a second cycle coin. I think those are good gains. And then you see people are starting to move out of Solana and into Sui and Sei, and of course then it'll be PulseChain. I think how this cycle will go is that Sui becomes the new Solana, Sei becomes the new Sui, Aptos becomes the new Sei, and then PulseChain becomes the daddy. And I think when everyone starts talking about PulseChain is when everyone's arrived. So I think Richard has timed it very cleverly. But it is crazy because I had to look this up, because how long ago was it? I think, and you've got a good memory, you can tell me. I think that the PulseChain sacrifice was actually in 2021. I think it started in 2021. Because I think the PLSX sacrifice was 2022. Is that right? I mean, it's a long time ago.
It was 22.
Yeah, 22.
When the PulseChain sacrifice started, I believe.
Okay. So it's a long old time. It's over 2 years and things, and I don't think anyone would have thought we'd be where we are now. But yeah, I think it may even have been 2020. Maybe someone can say in the chat, but I think it may even have been 2021 that the PulseChain sacrifice actually started, because the PLSX sacrifice was after the PulseChain sacrifice, wasn't it? They didn't.
That's true.
Did they?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a long old time, but we should talk about sentiment a bit, because that's your bag and my bag. And And just sort of like give my take on that is, if you said to all the people watching now that you can have a 10x immediately on your Hex and PulseChain stack, but that's it, you've got to leave the community, never invested in RH coin again, I think there'd be quite a few people, a proportion, maybe 5%, 10% at least, they would say, thank you very much, I'll take that. But when we get that first 10x, that's when everyone here now watching will believe that we can do at least another 10x. And that's when we'll get a lot of people coming in after the first 10x from these prices. That's when a lot of people will come in for the next 10x. When we get that 10x, then of course the people that are buying today, the people that are holding today will get 10x, will get 100x rather from these prices. So we're on 100x then, and it's that extra 10x which then gives everyone the belief we will do another 10x. And then a load more people will arrive at that point, hoping for another 10x. Some people that are watching now might quite sensibly start selling, because at that point, even from these prices, even if you weren't DCAing down to the lows in PLSX of 4 zeros and a 1 or 4 zeros and a 3 for PLS, you're on monster gains then. A lot of people say don't walk past 100x gains. Now, obviously, if you're staking in Hex and things, you know, it's a bit different, and you can do a lot better than 100x. Of course, we did 100 times better than that in the last cycle. But it is interesting. It's just, I think that, and this is where I go to with the how long ago the sacrifices were. I think that when we get the next 10x from here, even though some of us might be thinking, do you know what, I would just end this now, give me 10x, I will leave, you know, and I'll go and live my life and, you know, whatever. But I think that when we've got that next 10x, I think everyone will think, oh, you know, I've gone through this for so long, and I can see all the other cryptos going up loads. I'm not leaving now. I'm not leaving. I'm hanging around for the next 10x, and a load more people will be streaming about Hex and PulseChain. There'll be lots more people coming in, as I say. And I think people will think, oh, I'm hanging around for the next 10x. I think at that point, so when we've got the 100x from here, I think that's when sensibly, you know, what's liquid and things, you might be wanting to take a bit of profit, you know. But there will be a lot of people that will think, okay, just can do another 10x, did a 10,000x in the 2020 2021 bull market, so why can't PulseChain do 1,000x now? So I think a lot of people will believe it, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. I mean, it's one of those things that Tangent was saying in our stream on Wednesday. It was a good stream. If you haven't seen it, guys, check it out. My stream with Tangent. It was the last stream I did actually yesterday, because I haven't streamed today. But
I enjoyed that one. Yeah, I caught it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. There's something called survivorship bias in psychology.
Go for it.
And with survivorship bias, we can apply this to crypto prices and the bubble behavior that we see. And I liked the examples that you just gave, because it had a future framing, and we can overlay that with like what happened in the past, because from the bottom, Inc did a 20x, PulseX did a 10x, PulseChain did a 5x from the bottom. Was at the end of last year through March of this year. True. And so there's that huge rise that actually started at the Hex conference in January on the last day, when Richard's lawyers announced they had a plan. There was this like, huge moment. And before that, the only people who had survived being down 90% in PulseX and being down 99 point something percent in Hex, the only people who had survived were the people who didn't want to sell anymore, and were kind of like obsessively holding. They were married to their bags. And then you also get survivorship bias on the way up. And so it seems like people who believed the most stick around, but it's actually the people who stick around the most that believe. And so it's kind of easy to get backwards. What to survive the 2x, and then the next 2x, and then the next 2x, when you could have sold on a double, you could have sold on a double 14 times in the original run up of Hex. It doubled 13 or 14 times. In order to have survived all those doubles, you had to be so married to your bags that they could abuse you, with a 70% correction, and then do another double, and then go down 80% and do another double. And so I think that that's what makes Hex unique, is this time locking mechanism where you can cut out your own human imperfection of emotion, and you can say, I'm going to have money coming out every year or every quarter, and I'm, going to let it ride. Because then you survive, and it's not whether you could keep your emotions in check. Because honestly, you have to be pretty extreme to like not sell on a double so many times, and then magically you do sell at some point. Like the change in your personality or like your behavior has to be so extreme that by definition most people don't do it, because if most people sold, it wouldn't be the top, it would be the bottom. And so it's so my new philosophy on like how these crypto cycles work is, on average, everybody buys the top their first cycle, and everybody loses money unless they stick around for 4 years. And it's really that simple.
Yeah. And I think in this cycle we've got things like liquid loans, which could help, because you could borrow a little bit against your crown jewels without selling your crown jewels. And when you're in a bullish market, that can be a safe thing to do, as long as you don't over leverage and things. That could be a nice way to treat yourself to something as you go along without raiding your.
Yeah, like so somebody was recently telling me, and I apologize, I forget who, but somebody was telling me how well Liquidity did, which is the what Liquid Loans forked off of, how well it did when there was like a depegging crisis in crypto. It actually, I think it was Fast Abdul who was telling me this. The stable coin that they had went up to $1.25.
Wow.
And so because it was over collateralized, and because people were freaking out about the stables on Ethereum. And so Liquid Loans is like it technically is very attractive for lots of different reasons, kind of in good times and in a crisis. In bad times of just like price going down of Pulse, it doesn't do as well. But in good times or in a total crisis, I think it can do particularly well.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, so that's the situation with that. And as I say, I think it's 7 days. It's a waiting game. I don't think big investors want to go into Hex and PulseChain, particularly while they're waiting for this court case to be out of the way and things.
Yeah, the volume I think has dropped. I don't look at this stuff super closely, but that's been my impression, is that because the volume is down, it's only kind of the super impulsive traders that are playing now, probably until we get past the court date. And so, you can expect high volatility up and down. That's not really going to mean anything, because when the majority of the players get back into the game, they're going to decide whether the price goes up or down, regardless of what happens in the meantime.
Yes, and we're even seeing that in wider crypto without SEC court case dates to worry about. We're seeing Bitcoin went to 65K, and that's where the traders rather, were hoping it would bounce, and it did. So hopefully that's it. That's as low as it goes, which would form a new higher low, and we seem to have broken out the range. So crypto looks very bullish. I think the next time we go up to 69, hopefully we will finally get past 70K and break out, and then of course that's when things will pick up for Ethereum. I heard you say that you're bullish on Ethereum. I also heard George from Crypto saying he's selling all Ethereum today, so maybe that's a bottom signal that George is saying that he's not the best. He's not the best when it comes to investment decisions, but he was buying. What was he? He was buying a load of Solana today because it was going up, and he was buying a load of one of the Jupiter, I think, because it's on Solana and that's going up a lot. So he's buying a load of Jupiter as well. It's quite funny. He just seems to buy what goes up, but of course that's what people do, and that's why it goes back to what we were saying about, you know, the next 10x will have everyone here now thinking, I'm not leaving now.
Yep.
I want the next 10x, and then that's, you know, that's when the herd come, really, most of the herd. And with retail starting to trickle in now, which is exciting. But I think as long as we get that election result we're hoping for,
Yeah.
11 days time, I think that we'll be in very, very good shape. I've heard some analysts today say that Bitcoin could now go to 61K. I'm not sure if it needs to, but you know, maybe it will. And one final flush out. I don't know. But I think it's looking good at the moment. I think everything's looking very, very positive. And one of the things that strikes me is that as long as we get that Trump win, I think that Hex and PulseChain are destined to do incredibly well, even without any benevolent buying, even without the OA address, you know, using any sacrifice money and things. And I just think we're going to pump anyway. And there's certain things which I think are very encouraging. I mean, what do you make of Ivan on Tech being so pro PulseChain lately? He seems to have really picked at us as the horse to bet on, doesn't he? What do you make of? Be very interested in your views on Ivan on Tech getting behind PulseChain very much recently.
I think he knows where the attention is, and he knows where the engagement is. And I'm not sure that he or many people in crypto understand why the Hex and PulseChain community has such a strong presence on X and YouTube and in real life. That it has to do with the time locking and the fact that people can prove their conviction on chain more than any other crypto, and locking yourself in, it changes you. It makes you consistent, and you and I are two of the most consistent streamers out there in Hex and PulseChain. And by the way, quick plug, I put a link to your channel in my new crypto product, which is a physical PulseChain coin. And it's got a list of all the streamers that stream daily. And this is something people can order from my website. I've got linked below, but I've got a booklet in here, and it teaches people how to get into crypto, how to bridge into PulseChain. And I put a list of all the streamers, and yeah, I think Ivan has picked up, because of your efforts, probably the most out of anybody, because you've done the most outreach with Ivan. Ivan was already following Richard, and somehow ended up following me. But you're the one who's had him on your channel 3 or 4 times, and so that.
And thanks for that.
Yeah.
And it's nice that he follows you. He also is a big fan of Somi. We should mention that. I think I get the impression that he watches Somi every day, which is marvelous. And what he's started doing recently is, this is a great chat about Ivan, and I love getting your insights. It's fantastic. What he started doing with Somi is linking Somi to Hex and PulseChain as well, which is what it creates a bridge, because he's been very cautious about that, because he's got such a strong community. That's why he was able to raise $50 million for his Morales money. I think it's because of his subscriber count. I think it's because if he tells his 1.5 million subscribers to jump, they turn around and say, "How high, Ivan? How high?" So I think that's what they're really investing in. I don't think they're investing in the tools behind it.
And there's another piece of it that's incredibly important, is it's not only how many followers and viewers you have, it's who's watching. Because if you have 1 billionaire watching, or you have 50 millionaires or something, that's way more than 1 million views on TikTok that are not even crypto people, or are not crypto people who are sophisticated. And you know, Ivan has, and I think your channel and my channel have an extremely disproportionate amount of high value people who watch. And so our 1,000 views or 5,000 views just are so much more valuable than 20,000 views of bots or people in a third world country who don't have the resources really or the language necessarily. So
I think that's definitely true. I think there's a lot of wealthy investors that watch Ivan. And the other thing about Ivan is that because he's the guy that can code, the other big
mm,
channels just take his lead. So I think it's very significant for PulseChain that because he's been changing his APIs, hasn't he, to accommodate for PulseChain, and quite a lot of work there apparently. And he obviously sees it as a worthwhile investment. So yeah, that's really good. Just going back to your product with your coin, it excites me that you given one to the Hawk Tour girl, I think.
yes.
Yeah, so effectively she knows about me now. Just like the idea. It's like this little fantasy. She's goes about Crypto 7. I like that idea.
Well, to be fair, the one I gave her didn't have the instruction booklet with it because it wasn't made yet. So
It's
I'm gonna
close.
have to bring you up next time I
I
see her.
think it still excites me. Yeah, it's my little world.
I mean, and we have her public address, so you can send
Yeah.
her 7 coins of 7G if you want to, and then she'll be a holder, and you'll be able to
Oh, it's
advertise
great.
that.
Well, it's like you say, you never know, do you? It could be she talks to somebody, or somebody says, "Oh, what's this?" And they look at it, or more likely, Charlie Lee or Charlie Lee's brother or something that you talk to. You just don't know where
Yeah.
that interest is going to spark, or I can see the big channels wanting you on during the 2025 bull market, and so that's exciting as well. No,
Well,
I think it's
let
very
me ask you
important.
something kind of related to the high engagement. Is what do you think of like where the line is between like is supporting RH tickers versus like on one hand, on the other hand there's like vampire attacks that seem malevolent, and then in the middle there's like experiments like you and I are doing, or things that are kind of they have a purpose that kind of fits more into the ethical guidelines, in my opinion, of things. uh, how do you see that as a function of like um, wanting to play nice with others, but also being like a cult that needs to have some focus?
Yeah, it's tricky because as soon as Richard launched a blockchain, then we couldn't just be Hex maxis or even RH core coin maxis, because then the big thing, which is PLS, wouldn't have been successful. And if PLS isn't successful, then there's no way that the decentralized exchange, which is PLSX, is going to get any business, and that's going to be deflationary, and that's going to be successful. So without PLS being successful, PHEX can't be successful.
Mm.
That's the way I see it, because investors look at the L1, they want to invest in the L1 principally because they get L1s, they know that L1s are a great investment. That's why everyone's buying Sui, that's why everyone's buying Say and Aptos and Pulse Chain hopefully soon. Well, they already are. But so we definitely needed volume. We definitely need, and amongst that volume, obviously you've got some very clever projects like Liquid Loans there.
Yep.
For the full disclosure, they do sponsor me. You've got Liquid Loans and other great projects, but you also need some meme coins. You also need some meme coins that you can rely on. And I think, so that's my position on that. Solana, one of the reasons it's so successful in this bull market is because of the meme coins. And I have shifted my position on meme coins a little bit, because the reality is that meme coins have stood the test in this bull market, and they have performed very well, and are continuing to perform very well. But yeah, so to answer your question, I think we do need some coins and the influencer coins tend to do well. We need coins that people can rely on, that I mean, like you said earlier in the stream, you and I were streaming all through the bear market, and so people know they can rely on me and things. And yeah, so I think that's my take on that.
Okay. Yeah. I foresee a great reckoning, as there always is, with things that are copying Hex. that probably isn't going to go well. And I know you're not copying Hex and I'm not copying Hex, but I think that there have been attempts lately, even like on Ethereum, to try to make these like Ponzi games that have some similarity to Hex, whereas Hex is does not have Ponzi-nomics because it allows you to time lock and to play the long-term game, which is, as I stated earlier, is my thesis of where the value comes from in crypto, in Bitcoin and Ethereum and these things we've seen play out for many years. Literally, the value comes from being in multiple cycles. So, yeah. So I won't shine a light too bright on like, what I'm talking about, but I saw Hexologist put out a list the other day of like 15 or 20 hex copies, and they all have a different name. But anyway, so like with that being separated, I have quote unquote, I'm associated with a meme coin called Maddie that people have already heard about. But I want to hear more about your meme coin and what kind of your ideas are.
Okay, well, I like to give an elevator pitch because I think it's one of the things. It's one of the things I challenge the derivative founders to do, was to provide an elevator pitch. In fact, at your conference a couple of years ago, and they never did, by the way, they never did. But here's an elevator pitch on my coin. So, real world, my coin 7G. There you are. Real world marketing, bridging wealthy communities, with one of the biggest PulseChain streamers behind it. What else was there? Oh yeah, with Saudi links. And I think the strengths of my coin, that's really the elevator pitch. But if I was just a little summary now, I think the strengths of my coin is that there are so many meme coins on PulseChain, and that my coin, the strengths of mine is that it's different. It's just different. There's a lot of real world marketing going on, and so I think it's just a different style. So I think that's what's good. And the other key thing about the key success ingredient above all of that, in fact, is I waited and waited and waited until we could build interest during the pre-sale. We could build interest during the run up to part Banana Zone and into the entry to Banana Zone, and then launch it. Because obviously, as a founder, I can't make price predictions on 7G. I can tell you that launching into Banana Zone guarantees more bananas. So I'm very confident. I'm very confident about it for people. I'm not selling any of my coins, which I think is great. I'm not paying any influencers. By the way, shout out to you, because totally voluntarily, you were the first person, I think, to promote it. We've had two voluntarily, because I don't pay any influencers. I haven't asked anyone to promote it either. And so I'm very humbled that you did that, and you were the first guy. I think I did actually tweet. I wonder which influencer will be the first one to say something about my coin.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I say, you have showed up for the community, and there's some meme coins that are don't show their face and who don't have a track record. You certainly marketing and politics and everything, and that's your background. That's where you've been successful executive. So yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer for me to to speak kindly of it.
Thank you.
I or like just kind of weigh in on like this angle that you found with the equestrian community, because for me, I got exposure to this culture in college. I dated a woman who was like really into riding horses, and so I went to the events and I like saw all the rich people. And I think if you haven't ever known that culture, you don't like, not everybody understands how expensive it is to have a horse. Like, like in my background here, there's a horse actually there, right here. There's like there's a racehorse there. And that's because a Hexagon had paid lots of money to like import from another country one of these like prize winning horses. And so maybe you can help educate my audience and anybody listening about like this world of horse things.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. They are buying these horses from around the world, putting them on planes, flying them about. They're very, very expensive, these horses, and they're typically, they're millions of pounds, but typically, certainly at least $50,000-$60,000 for sort of any sort of half decent show jumping horse. Um, and so there's a lot of purchasing going on, and so around the world, and so the advantage is, obviously, this, I mentioned the Saudis, they buy a lot. The Saudi royal family, they're really into it, and they're all that, and they pitch up even at the UK events and things. And there are tax advantages as well. I know that Corey Geary, who's also invested in 7G voluntarily, he's got some links with the racehorsing community, because mine's the show jumping, and the racehorse, but same sort of thing. So there's a vast amount of money being moved around, and they're very interested in crypto for the ease of being able to make transactions, and they guard their privacy as well. There are also tax advantages around horses, so they're interested in that and how that then links up to crypto. They're interested in liquid loans and their stable coin. So yeah, no, that's it really. And just say, if anyone wants to know more information, I've got a little white paper in the details in the description. Just hit more under the stream title. You get the view numbers and things. There's a little more. Just hit more. You get all the information come up and things if you want to get in on the pre-sale. And yeah, there's been a lot of interest for that. And I think it's going to be very, very good, because people will effectively have to buy from the people that get in on the pre-sale. If there's any supply left over, I'm distributing it to the people that got in at the pre-sale. And my coins I will be burning. I won't be selling any of my coins or giving them to anyone. There's no friends of the founder. There's no influence allocations, and there's no dev fees. So it's nice and simple. The money goes to the people that want to invest in it. So I think it'll do really well. And I think the best thing of all, I think, is the timing. Launching into Banana Zone guarantees more bananas.
Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I think that it's the right culture to kind of include, and honestly, like, I've heard I've heard people who are saying like, who are like talking shit on the equestrian stuff, and I'm just like, okay, well, like, obviously you don't understand what people with money do because they buy horses.
I don't even. Do you know what? Do you know what's funny about that? Because you mentioned that about how you've got a different type of people watching your channel, and you've got different. And I think that's absolutely right. I don't even hear any of it. I don't even see any negativity. I've heard one or two people tell me, "Oh, there's the other day somebody was saying something about your coin." I don't even hear it, and it doesn't affect me at all, because, like you, I've been streaming. I try to be professional. I've been streaming for a couple of years professionally. I'm very thick-skinned, but I don't even hear it, and I think it's because this community, and it's a good thing, because we've now got a blockchain, and it goes back to the blockchain thing. We have branched off and bifurcated. Posh word for just split into lots of different places. We're split up into so many sort of sub communities, and like you say, I'm a bit older than most people in Hex and PulseChain. My friends and business associates tend to be sort of wealthy boomers, and that's what I'm doing. I'm different, as I say. Other people focus very much on a similar sort of strategy, which is to bombard X and things, and try to be the funniest of the funny memes and things, which just following a different approach, bridging wealthy communities, bringing in different sectors. Yeah, I mean, you said it best.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm glad you're out there
Cool.
getting the word out, and giving people kind of a bridge onto Pulse Chain through your efforts. That's really cool.
Thanks, man. That's fine. Thanks. Thanks for mentioning that. That's awesome. So yeah, what else did you want to talk about, buddy? And I could talk all day, but you know me.
Yeah, I mean, we're closing in on an hour here, so yeah, I think like for me, I'm, I'm somebody who's streaming every Tuesday and Thursday night. I've this is my 203rd week in a row not missing a stream, and so that people can find me here on my channel and mati.pls.fyi. That's my that's all my links wrapped up into one. It's actually a pulse chain link. It's You have to have my private keys to change any of the links on that website, and so it's a little bit more secure than most social media. So
How about if we got you streaming, if it's possible, if it goes with the timing, if we got you streaming live from this Trump rally onto the Crypto 7, how about that? I would love a little fly on the wall. You did it with one of the conferences you went to recently.
yeah, yeah,
With
in
just
Nashville we did that right before Trump
you
spoke.
did.
So yeah, it would fit in perfectly. Yeah, as long as I have internet signal, I would
Yeah,
love to
and
do that.
even if it's sketchy, it still gives a feeling for being there. It's like because you did it,
Yeah.
brilliantly. You walked around and you introduced us to a few people. It was really we were vicariously living the dream through the camera and your amazing life. You do lead a very exciting life, a very fulfilling life. And
Thank you. Yeah, I to be honest, I've been to many places in the world and many places in the United States. I've actually never been to New York City proper.
ah,
We did a Hex meetup in northern New York before, but yeah, I'm going into the belly of the beast here in Madison Square Garden, which is this big arena that is in the middle of the city. So yeah,
you're gonna have a great time.
wish me luck there, and I'll stream in. It's gonna be pretty late for you. I think the rally starts at 5 p.m. local
This
time,
make
so
it
that's
happen.
11 your time.
Oh well, we'll have to try and do something. That's amazing. Oh, you'll enjoy New York. That's great. I think you'll enjoy
Shout
it.
out to a wild SJ who's here in the chat. By the way,
Hey,
she's
we
an
love
amazing Hexican, and I
shit.
also I saw another fun name here. Uh, All in on
I'm
7G.
7G. I didn't. I
Yeah,
knew some people are changing their channel name to MyCoin 7G. Details on the description of my lives, and a lot of people are coming in and supporting it and things. I haven't asked anyone to. I've not induced anyone to. They've just voluntarily. It seems to be gathering momentum. It seems to be getting a life of its own. And
organic.
I think Wild SJ is going to the SEC court date. Are you going to
Yeah,
that?
she's like hosting part of
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
of course she is. Of course she is.
Um,
So that's going to be exciting. So
yeah.
Crypto 7 prediction, I think that we will pump next week. I think that it's been a sell the rumor, and so it must be surely a buy the news. We're having a reverse effect. I think so, and or we do on the election in 11 days time. I think that it's it feels to me like this is the biggest moment in my crypto journey. I've been in crypto a long time, like you. I think you've been in even longer than me. I've been in for nearly 10 years, but this feels like now's the moment. I think October's going to be good. I think November in crypto is going to be amazing. So hang on to your hats, guys. Whether it's a
Yeah.
fantastic rancher's hat that yeah you've got, or just a baseball cap that I've got, hang on to your hats, guys. It's going to be amazing. And shout out to
Awesome.
Wild SJ. Yes.
Yeah. And now where can people find more of your content?
Oh, I'm just Crypto 7. Yeah, if you wanna find more of my content, Crypto 7, 2 words, Crypto 7, you'll find me straight away. And as I say, just hit more next to the view numbers and details in the description. You get all the little white paper tells you how to get into the pre-sale. And so it's guaranteed to launch before the end of the year, guys. Might launch sooner. So get in
Awesome.
if you're interested.
Yeah. And everybody go into the link in my YouTube description to follow Crypto7 on Twitter and on YouTube. I tune into his YouTube pretty much every day when I wake up. He's got a new stream out. So and it's got great analysis. He goes live with Tangent at least once a week. So check it out there.
Yeah,
And
he's great. He's great. And so are you. Thanks everyone. Thanks very much, buddy. It's been really enjoyable.
yeah, thanks so much. Let me see. I'm gonna load up the thumbnail here so we can have our outro there.
Fantastic.
And Crypto 7.